Good afternoon, live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Tension mounting between Washington and Moscow as Trump orders nuclear submarines moved in appropriate regions after Russia's provocative statements. Amid difficult relations with Trump, Fed leadership in turmoil. Governor Kugler announces to step down while confusion over Chair Powell's continuation remains. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's developmental push for the holy city of Varanasi unveils projects worth Rs 2,200 crore, catering multiple projects. In an ongoing encounter in Jammu and Kashmir, one terrorist gunned down under Operation Akhal in Kulgam district. And in cricket, India rock England on day 2 of the 5th test, make 75 for 2 in second innings as Stumps lead England by 52 runs. Tensions between the US and Russia have escalated this week as US President Donald Trump and former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev exchanged threatening statements. In response to threats from Medvedev, Trump on Friday said he has ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in appropriate regions. In a social media post on Truth Social, Trump said, "Words are very important and can often lead to unintended consequences." He said he hoped that this will not be one of those instances. A day earlier, Medvedev said Trump should remember that Moscow possessed Soviet-era nuclear strike capabilities of last resort. Asked later by reporters why he ordered the submarine movement, Trump said a threat was made by a former president of Russia and they're going to protect people.
To do that, we just have to be careful. And a threat was made, and we didn't think it was appropriate, so I have to be very careful. So I do that on the basis of safety for our people. A threat was made by a former president of Russia, and we're going to protect our people.
And speaking to reporters about the trade tariff, US President Trump said he might consider giving dividends from tariffs revenues to citizens. Since he arrived in office at the beginning of this year, Trump's imposed trade tariffs on several countries, claiming it will help reduce debt and inflation.
There are a lot of people that would like to see us do sort of a dividend to the people of our country. It's something I'd consider. How much would I want to pay off debt, but there's a possibility I'd do a dividend.
And speaking to reporters at the White House, President Trump said on Friday that Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva can call him anytime to discuss tariffs and other friction between the countries. Later calling Trump's remarks great, Brazil Finance Minister Fernando Haddad said he is sure that Lula feels the same and would be willing to receive a call from the American president. In a post on X, Lula also said Brazil has always been open to dialogue, although he did not mention Trump nor his earlier remarks. Earlier, Trump slapped a 50% tariff on Brazil, with many exemptions starting next week to fight what he called a witch hunt against former President Jair Bolsonaro. I think it's great, and I'm sure the feeling is mutual. President Lula would be willing to receive a phone call from him whenever he wanted as well. As I said before, it's very important that we prepare for this meeting, for this conversation. Today, once again, I had contact with US Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent's team, so we can have a meeting next week. So finally, the longer meeting is more focused on the unilateral decision of the United States regarding Brazil. We will be able to exchange ideas on all topics, including this one. Meanwhile, Brazilians holding protests across several cities denouncing the US president's politically motivated trade tariffs. Anti-Trump protests were held in Brasilia, Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, a sign of souring ties between two of America's largest economies. The Federal Reserve announced on Friday that Governor Adriana Kugler to resign early from her term and will exit the central bank on 8th of August. The Fed said in a statement that Kugler, who became a governor in September of 2023, will leave before her term's conclusion, which was scheduled for 31st January next year. Kugler will return to Georgetown University as a professor next autumn. Kugler's early departure may shake up the timeline for the succession process now surrounding Chair Jerome Powell, whose term ends next May. Trump says he's happy about the open spot on Fed board after Kugler resigns.
One of the governors, as you know, of the Federal Reserve has just announced she's resigning. I understand it was over the fact that she disagreed with somebody from her party. She disagreed with Too-Late. You know who Too-Late is? Yeah. She disagreed with Too-Late on the interest rate. So we'll see what happens. But we just found out that I have a open spot on the Federal Reserve Board. I'm very happy about that, John.
In an interview with Newsmax, U.S. President Trump has said that Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell will most likely stay in his position, even as Trump sharply criticized the Fed Reserve's policies. Trump said he would remove Powell because the Fed's interest rate was too high, but also added that others have said Powell's removal would disturb the market. He gets out in 7 or 8 months. Trump says he'll put somebody else in. 4 people were shot and killed on Friday in an open firing at an owl bar in Anaconda, Montana. Manhunt for the suspect, identified as 45-year-old Michael Paul Brown, who lived next door to the bar, is underway. What led to the shooting remains unclear, as FBI helps police in the investigation. Governor of Montana is closely monitoring the situation, urged prayers for the victims, their families, and the law enforcement officers responding. So far in 2025, there have been about 256 mass shootings in the United States, including Friday's shooting in Anaconda, while around 503 incidents were reported last year. In other news, Rwanda and Democratic Republic of Congo on Friday agreed on an outline for regional economic integration framework as the two countries take steps towards delivering on a peace deal signed in Washington in June. The tenets agreed on Friday summarize the framework, which include elements of cooperation on energy, infrastructure, mineral supply chains, national parks, and public health. The State Department said in a statement, Rwanda and Congo signed a peace deal in Washington in June as talks held by U.S. President Donald Trump's administration, which aims to bring an end to fighting that has killed thousands and attracted billions of dollars of Western investment to a region rich in tantalum, gold, cobalt, copper, lithium, and other minerals. As part of the deal, Kinshasa and Kigali agreed to launch a regional economic integration framework within 90 days, the agreement said. In Ethiopia's war-impacted Oromia region, people in remote villages are gradually regaining access to healthcare after almost 2 years of disruption. Though the effects of the conflict still linger, a health center in Ethiopia's West Welega zone has reopened after nearly 2 years of conflict-related closure. During the shutdown, residents relied on improvised transport to access care. While services have resumed, medicine shortages persist. A nearby hospital is also recovering, though much of its equipment was destroyed and medicine transport remains difficult due to continued insecurity. The International Committee of the Red Cross has been supporting health facilities in the region, providing medical supplies, training, and logistical support. The conflict between Fed forces and Oromo Liberation Army has displaced many and disrupted essential services. 11 people, including a former minister, were arrested in Serbia on Friday over a train station disaster in which 16 people had died. The concrete canopy of the newly renovated station in northern city of Novi Sad collapsed on November 1st last year in a disaster widely blamed on corruption and poor oversight. It sparked a wave of student-led protest and led to resignation of Prime Minister Milos Vucevic. The fall of his government, the public prosecutor's office in Novi Sad opened an investigation into the accidents and deaths. The 11 include former Construction, Transport and Infrastructure Minister Tomislav Momirovic, as well as former Acting Director of state-run Serbian Railway Infrastructure Company, Nebojša Cvilan, prosecutors informed. A Florida jury on Friday found Tesla liable in a deadly 2019 crash involving its autopilot system and ordered the company to pay a staggering $329 million in damages to the victim's family. The payout includes $129 million of compensatory damages and $200 million of punitive damages. Tesla was sued by estate of Nebel Benvidez-Leon and by her former boyfriend Dylan Angulo. The lawsuit stemmed from a 2019 crash when George McGee drove his 2019 Tesla Model S and slammed into a parked Chevrolet Tahoe. The victims were standing beside the SUV on the shoulder. Negotiators will take another stab at reaching a global pact on plastic pollution at talks opening on Tuesday in Geneva, but they face deep divisions over how to tackle the health and ecological hazard. The coming 10 days of talks involving delegates from nearly 180 nations follow a failure to reach a deal last December on how to stop millions of tons of plastic waste entering the environment each year. Plastic pollution is also ubiquitous that microplastics have been found on the highest mountain peak in the deepest ocean trench and scattered throughout almost every part of the human body. In 2022, countries agreed they would find a way to address the crisis by the end of 2024, but the talks in Busan, South Korea, failed to overcome fundamental differences. The 16th and final Airbus C-295 military transport aircraft has been handed over to the Indian Air Force. Now the remaining 40 C-295 aircraft will be built by the Airbus facility in Gujarat. DD India's Atma Sandhu gets us more from Spain.
In the heart of Europe's aerospace hub, Sevilla, where a significant milestone has been reached between India-Spain Defence Cooperation, the final and 16th Airbus C-295 military transport aircraft has been ceremonially handed over to the Indian Air Force.
Under the Make in India initiative, the remaining 40 C-295 aircrafts are going to be built at the Airbus facility in Gujarat. The facility was launched by Tata Advanced Systems Limited and formally inaugurated in October 2024 by Prime Minister Modi and Spanish Prime Minister Sanchez. The C-295 is a versatile transport aircraft capable of carrying up to 71 troops, conducting airdrops, cargo missions, medical evacuation, and operating from short unpaved runways, ideal for India's diverse geography.
Right now, we'll move to the more important part, which is the 40 aircraft that are to be built and integrated in India. This is part of the Make in India program of Prime Minister Modi, which has actually seen one of the best projects that we can work on in the world today. And we are going to see over the next 5 to 6 years, 40 aircraft to be built in India. This not only will create an ecosystem for building aircraft, but it will also make sure that most of the parts of an aircraft are built in India too.
Airbus and Tata described this landmark deal as a cornerstone for Atmanirbhar Bharat, highlighting India's self-reliance in boosting its defense power by creating around 15,000 high-skilled direct jobs, around 10,000 indirect jobs, and integrating 125 domestic MSMEs into the aerospace supply chain.
We delivered aircraft number 16. All the aircrafts were delivered ahead of contract, and we are very proud. The customer satisfaction is being 100%. So we reached the highest level of quality in the deliverables of these aircrafts. It's been a day of pride also because we built during all these years a team spirit with the Indian Air Force, with our dear customer, where the teams built not only transparency in the way of working, but real, true trust.
This project has strengthened India-Spain relations beyond defense cooperation. It exemplifies the growing convergence between the two nations in global supply chains and technology development. This is Atman Sandhu in Spain for DD India.
And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Update on extreme weather conditions in different parts of the world. In sports, India women's wrestling team shines at Under-17 World Wrestling Championship with 2 gold, 3 silver and a bronze.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting his parliamentary constituency Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh. He inaugurated key development projects worth over 2,100 crore rupees. The development projects cover roads, hospitals, schools to clean water and smart power. With this, Varanasi moves closer to the Viksit Bharat vision, blending spiritual heritage with cutting-edge progress. In a significant step towards farmer welfare, Prime Minister Modi also released the 20th installment of PM Kisan, crediting over 20,000 crore rupees to 9.7 crore farmers across the country. Under Prime Minister's leadership, Indian agriculture has seen a historic shift with tech-driven reforms and strong farmer support. In Jammu and Kashmir, security forces have gunned down one terrorist under Operation Akhal and general area of Akhal in South Kashmir's Kulgam district. The Chinar Corps of Indian Army said intermittent and intense firefight continued through the night. It added that alert troops responded with calibrated fire and tightened the noose while maintaining contact. One terrorist has been neutralized by the joint team of Jammu and Kashmir Police, Army and the Central Reserve Police Force. Operation is still underway. Notable Indian security forces have intensified their counter-terrorism operation in Jammu and Kashmir, eliminating several terrorists in different encounters over the past few days. In a significant step towards enhancing its operational mobility and supporting Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative, the Indian Army will procure 212 state-of-the-art 50-ton tank transporter trailers from leading technology solutions company. The contract, worth 223.95 crore rupees, was signed with Axis Cadis Aerospace and Technologies Private Limited under the Buy Indian IDDM category. These next-generation trailers come equipped with hydraulic or pneumatic loading ramps and steerable and live-table axles, enabling swift and efficient transportation of tanks and other armored vehicles across diverse and challenging terrain. The advanced mobility solutions offered by these platforms will act as a force multiplier for the Field Army, significantly enhancing its logistical and operational capabilities. This indigenous procurement not only marks a boost to the Indian defence manufacturing ecosystem, but also promises sustained employment generation. Meanwhile, apart from safeguarding the country, the Indian Army remains steadfast in its commitment to assist civil authorities during natural calamities as well, continuing its dedicated flood relief operations across affected regions of Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Punjab. Flood relief column operating are actively conducting reconnaissance of affected areas to assess potential requirements of relief and support. They are also providing technical assistance for waterlogging issues due to flood-like conditions. So far, 105 civilians rescued and extended medical aid to over 300 persons. The Indian Army continues to monitor the situation closely and remains fully prepared to respond to any emergent contingencies with speed, compassion and professionalism. India's Union Environment, Forest and Climate Change Minister Bhupendra Yadav took part in Van Mahotsav 2025, reaffirming India's stance on One Earth, One Family, One Future. In a powerful display of environmental solidarity, Union Housing and Urban Affairs Power Minister Manohar Lal jointly led the Van Mahotsav celebrations by planting saplings. Van Mahotsav is an annual week-long tree plantation festival celebrated in the first week of July every year in India, promoting plantation of millions of trees each year to combat deforestation, desertification and climate change. On to some weather updates. First up from India. The India Met Department has forecast a marginal reduction in rain intensity in Delhi and NCR, with very light to light rainfall expected till Sunday. However, the Met Department lifted yellow alert warning and forecast generally cloudy sky for the national capital amid effective fishermen alert until August 5 along coastal areas adjoining Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal. IMD predicted isolated heavy rains in Tamil Nadu and Kerala over the next 5 days. Over West India, light to moderate rains are likely during the next few days. Light to moderate rainfall at many places accompanied with thunderstorm, lightning and isolated heavy rains likely to continue over Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Meghalaya and Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram and Tripura till August 6th. According to the Met Department, several regions across the country will most likely receive normal rainfall in August, except parts of northeast and adjoining areas in the east. Strong storms tore through the tri-state area on Thursday, unleashing flash floods that crippled transportation in New York City and triggered a tornado warning in New Jersey. Although the waters later receded and traffic resumed, city officials continue to urge residents to stay home, with rain expected to continue through the night. In response to the worsening conditions, emergency management agencies in New York and New Jersey advised against non-essential travel and warned of flooding in streets, basements and transit systems. Japan sweltered through its hottest July since records began in 1898, the weather agency reported, warning of further severe heat in the months ahead. Heat waves are becoming more intense and frequent the world over because of human-caused climate change. Scientists say Japan is no exception. The average temperatures in July was up a record 2.89 degrees Celsius from 1991 to 2020 average for the month, the Japan Met Agency said on Friday. It was the third year in a row of record-breaking average temperatures for July, it said. On July 30th, Japan experienced its highest recorded temperatures, a sizzling 41.2 degrees Celsius in western region of Hyogo. Precipitation in July was low over wide areas of Japan, with northern regions facing the Sea of Japan experiencing record low snow rainfall. It added, the rainy season ended about 3 weeks earlier than usual in western regions of Japan. That's another record. In business news, US stocks slumped on Friday, with S&P on track for its biggest daily percentage decline in more than 3 months, as new American tariffs on dozens of trading partners and surprisingly weak jobs report spurred selling pressure. Also weighing on equities was a tumble in Amazon.com shares after the company posted quarterly results but failed to meet lofty expectations for its Amazon Web Services cloud computing unit. The S&P 500 lost 1.60%, while the Nasdaq Composite lost 2.24%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 1.23%. Market experts predict the Fed will cut rates by at least 25 basis points at its September meeting. India achieved remarkable success on the first day of the Under-17 Wrestling World Championships in Athens. The Indian women's have secured a total of 6 medals, including 2 gold, 3 silver and a bronze, bringing glory to the nation. The team clinched the Champions Trophy with 151 points, while the US finished runners-up with 142 points. Japan secured the third position with 113 points. The championship continues in Athens, where Indian wrestlers are set to compete in remaining bouts in freestyle category. Day 2 of the 5th test between India and England saw a thrilling shift in momentum as 15 wickets tumbled after India collapsed early, posting just 224. England openers raced to 109 for 1 before Mohammad Siraj and Prasidh Krishna led a fairy comeback. Both pacers claimed 4 wickets each, dismantling England for 247. Yashasvi Jaiswal's unbeaten 51 of 49 balls helped India recover to 75 for 2 by stumps, extending their lead to 52. With the pitch offering plenty to the bowlers and pressure mounting, the contest remains finely balanced heading into day 3. That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live. Namaskar. Have a great day.